Yep, I turned on mine. Oh, I can share. You can cheat off mine.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, good evening. I'd like to call the Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025 Planning Commission meeting to order. If we could all rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I said I'm following the order. Can we have roll call, please? Thank you.
Everyone, we're going to do roll call. We're going to start with Chairwoman Lauren McClellan,
Present.
Vice Chairman Kamar Williams, Commissioner David Leland,
Here.
Commissioner Kara Derry,
Here.
Commissioner Andrew Elba,
Present.
Christopher Butler, alternate 1,
Present.
and Edward Patterson, alternate 2. Thank you.
Thank you. So the first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Is there a motion?
I approve.
Motion by Commissioner Alba. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Seconded by Commissioner Derry. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? See that it passes unanimous. The first item on the agenda is application number 25-017 AAR Shoma Paint. The applicant, Smart Coat Painting LLC, on behalf of Shoma Paint at Royal Palm, is requesting architectural approval in order to repaint all 26 existing buildings for a property located at 2300 Shoma Drive. Mitty.
Madam Chair, is the applicant present? Can you go to the podium there for me, sir, and give us your name for the record?
Yes, Paul Hoffman, Smart Coat Painting.
Sir, this is a quasi-judicial hearing, so I'll swear you in, and I'll swear in staff at the same time. Could you both raise your right hands for me? Do you both swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you very much, and I'll turn to the commission for any ex parte disclosures on this item. Thank you.
Joseph.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Joe Sue, Planning and Zoning for the record. Application before is 25-017 AAR. The applicant is requesting architectural approval in order to repaint all 26 existing building for the property that's located at 2300 Shoma Drive. On your screen here is the highlighted development. This slide illustrates the facades and paint colors. The applicant proposes to use SW7015 Repose Gray for the second and third floor. Walls SW7017 Dorian Gray for the first floor walls SW7018. Dovetail for the bump outs areas, garage doors, and balconies, and SW7006 Extra White for garage doors, front doors, venting, and railing. Staff is recommending approval of application number 25-017 AAR as submitted. This concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have a presentation, sir?
Just if you wanted to see the existing colors, instead of just on the screen, if you'd like to see that.
You want to show them? Sure.
This is a color actual, instead of just seeing it on the screen. This is the rendering that you saw up there. Mm-hmm. These are the actual colors, the white. And if you want to actually see the three colors that we're actually proposing for the development.
And also on your screen at the bottom right of the pictures are the existing colors. You can see.
Colors if you want actually a physical versus what's up. It's the same thing.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Is there any comments from the commission? No. Is there a motion? Oh, is there public comment?
No, ma'am.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve application number 25-017 AAR.
Thank you, Commissioner Leland. Is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Commissioner Alba. All those in favor? All opposed? See that it passes unanimous. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
your time. Have a great evening. Thank you very much.
Item number 2 on the agenda is application number 25002 AAR, Steak and Shake Facade and Signage. The applicant, Architectural Construction Services, Inc., on behalf of Steak and Shake, Inc., is requesting architectural approval in order to renovate the existing facade, repaint and install new wall-mounted signs on an existing building for a property located at 133 South State Road 7. Eddie?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Your name, sir, for the record?
Todd Taylor.
Thank you. As you saw me do with the previous applicant, this is a quasi-judicial hearing. Could you raise your right hand for me and I'll swear you in? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, sir. I'll turn back to the commission for any ex parte disclosures. Thank you.
Yosu?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Application number 25-002 AAR. The applicant is requesting architectural approval in order to renovate the exterior facade, repaint and install new wall-mounted signs on the existing building located at 133 South State Road 7. On your screen is a location of where the property is located, Steak and Shake. This slide illustrates the proposed front elevation, which is the main entrance to the restaurant. This slide illustrates the proposed drive-through entrance elevation. This slide illustrates the proposed drive-through exit elevation. Staff is recommending approval of application number 25-002 AR as submitted. This concludes my presentation.
Great, thank you, sir. Do you have a presentation?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
First of all, thank you all for allowing me to be here to present our design and what we would recommend is going forward. Do I move forward? There we go. Just to give you a little context, Steak and Shake is a brand that's been in existence since 1934. Of all things, it was started in the front area of a Shell gas station from the image that you see on the left-hand side. It evolved over the time and, and really established itself for its service quality, food, and basically service with a smile. It expanded along Route 66 over the years, starting in Illinois and kind of moving to the West Coast. Currently, there are 311 locations within the brand. It is primarily a franchise company, but we are looking to bring that back together and start to put some consistency back into the brand. As we go forward, give you an idea, this is a glimpse to the future, which really is a little bit of a nod to the past. So this is the prototype that has been developed to kind of give an idea of some of the things that you'll see in this brand as new ones are built. On this particular location, obviously we recognize that not everything is a twin, and there are certain things that need to happen to kind of make them cousins, if you may. One of the things that we'd like to do is obviously paint the building white, put the new signage on the building, change the terracotta roofs within the existing building, and kind of just spruce it up a little bit. So you can see here, as an entry, we're looking to change the monument sign as you approach off the main road, giving it a sense of presence. As mentioned earlier, the front facade is relatively simple with a new edge-lit LED channel type of a sign. The side elevation is clean and simple. We will also wrap the bottom with a tile similar to what was seen in the earlier versions back in the 30s and 40s, as well as a nighttime view, so you get an understanding of what's there. As you drive and approach it, we'd like to add a couple signs to it. There is a drive-through clearance bar that will be added to it to kind of make sure that we don't have any damage to vehicles, trucks, or anybody that would approach it. That's something that's missing today. So we also move into the back of the building, keeping it very simple, clean, as requested. And then we turn the corner, we're looking at, in essence, kind of bringing a little bit of attention to the drive-up business, which is certainly a predominant line of our business. So you'll see some elements along the perimeter, not just the front sign, but also a home of the original steak burger that you see in the front as well as in the burger icon. So you can see those elements, and those are also illuminated. So that's pretty much it. We're looking at a very simple remodel, but certainly something that will fit within, we believe, your guidelines. And we've worked very closely with staff to get to this point.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board members? No?
Great presentation.
Great, thank you. Is there any public comment?
No, ma'am.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve application number 25-002.
Thank you, Commissioner Butler. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Derry. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? See that it passes unanimous. Congratulations, sir. Thank you. Okay. So the next item on the agenda, I think, is it? Yes, no? The next item on the agenda is application number 24-089 VAR Ranger Asphalt Silos. The applicant, Urban Design Studio, on behalf of WPB Opsland LLC, is requesting variances from Code Section 2692-4D in order to allow for 3 75-foot tall silos where code limits the maximum building height to 32 feet, a variance of 43 feet, and to allow for asphalt piles not to exceed 78 feet where the code limits the height to 32 feet, a variance of 46 feet, for a property located at 606 95th Avenue North. Mitty.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And before I move to this application, I need to announce Commissioner Leland indicated he and I had a call earlier today. He has a voting conflict on this item, application 24-089, 24-01, what in the world? 24-125 and 24-088. So items 3, 4, and 5 on your agenda. He has completed Form 8B, which is the voting conflict form. The applicant is a client of his business, so he is stepping off the dais now at 7:12 p.m. Given his recusal from these 3 agenda items, and given that we have another alternate in the audience, alternate 2 is approaching the dais. He will step in and sit on the dais so that we have a full board. So, Ms. Ham, if we could let the record reflect that alternate 2 has seated himself on the board for these items.
Thank you. Record will reflect.
And then with that, Madam Chair, I'm sorry, I see we have an applicant. Can you state your name for the record?
Lindsay Jean-Louis with Urban Design Studio.
Thank you. And are you the only one speaking on this item?
Potentially Kentuma.
So let's just swear you in both at the same time, just in case. And there's nobody online, is that correct, Ms. Ham?
That is correct.
And your name for the record, sir?
Good evening, Ken Tuma with Urban Design.
Thank you, sir. Could you both raise your right hands for me? I'll swear you in for all 3 items. I'll take ex parte disclosures from the board, from the commission separately, but do you both swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you both. And with that, I will ask for ex parte disclosures on item 3, which is what you're on, 24-089 VAR.
I do. I spoke with the agent for the applicant, Ken and Lindsay. I spoke with the attorney for the commercial plaza adjacent to the property, and then I also did a site visit.
Any other disclosures to be made? No. Okay, thank you.
Sorry. Josu, it's your turn.
The applicant is proposing to increase the height of the silos and asphaltic piles to exceed the zoning district maximum allowable height. There are multiple applications being processed in conjunction and concurrent with this application. The concurrent applications include a request for special exception use approval to allow for an expansion of the existing asphalt or concrete plant used to include the additional silos, and a major site plan modification and architectural approval to construct 3 75-foot tall silos to be used in the existing asphalt production facility. Also stripe and pave the existing employee parking spaces to be ADA accessible, and update the site plan to reflect the existing conditions. Village Code Section 26-32F6 allows the Village Council to grant variances to code when special conditions and circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land structure or building involved, whenever circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant, that granting of the variance request will not confer on the applicant any special privileges, that a literal interpretation of the provisions of this division will deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties, that the variance granted is the minimum variance that will make possible the reasonable use of the land, building, or structure, that grant of the variance will be in harmony with the general intent and purpose of this division, that such variance will not be injurious to the area involved or otherwise be detrimental to the public welfare. The applicant contends that the requested silos are essential for the operational efficiency and capacity of the asphalt production facility. Taller silos allow for increased storage and more efficient handling of materials, which turns or enhances the overall production of the site operation. The village staff is not in support of this variance because staff believes that no special conditions or circumstances exist which are not applicable to other lands. Granting of the variance will confer on the applicant special privileges that are denied to other lands. The literal interpretation of the code does not deprive the applicant the rights enjoyed by other lands in the same zoning district, and that is not the minimum variance necessary to allow reasonable use of the property. With that said, staff requests a recommendation of denial be submitted to the Village Council regarding application number 24-089 VAR and variance order VC-24-08. This concludes my presentation. I'll be glad to answer any questions or turn it over to you, Madam Chair.
Great, thank you. Lindsay.
Thank you. We do have a combined presentation for the variance, the site plan, and the special exception. So, Mitty, would it be best if I went after Josue's two, or since it's each individual item, should I present the full deck here?
You can give a presentation. You can revisit when you get to the next applications and just be a little bit more brief, but if you want to give the full one now, that's fine.
Great. Will do. And thank you for presenting and discussing, Josue. I'll just supplement as applicable. Again, Lindsay Jean-Louis with Urban Design Studio on behalf of WPB OPS LLC. Again, specifically our request, Josue just presented the variance request, but in totality, we're requesting a major site plan modification to construct three 75-foot tall silos to be used in the existing production facility, as well as providing the village staff a regulatory site plan for the site, and I'll dig into that later on in my presentation. A special exception use to allow for the expansion of the existing asphalt and concrete plant use, as well as the variances that Josue just described in regards to the 75-foot tall silos and the asphalt piles. And here we see the existing site. This is located northwest of 441 in Southern, more than 1,000 feet north of Southern, and the property immediately adjacent to the northeast and sort of southeast are in the unincorporated county. Currently, it's the correctional facility. To our east, south of us, is a current car dealership, and then to the west of us is the Coral Sky Plaza. And just to go through the history of the site, in 1983, prior to the annexation of the site into the village of Royal Palm Beach, the site was approved for rezoning to the unincorporated county industrial general district. And in that same year, there was a special exception approval for the asphalt plant use. In 1989, the site, as part of a larger development, was annexed into the village of Royal Palm Beach. and also rezoned to the IL Limited Industrial District that is currently outlined in the village. And in 1990, there was a development agreement which vested the asphalt plant use that we see today, which was later amended in 1994, again, allowing the expansion of the asphalt plant use as a permitted special exception use, which we're before your commission today to request. And then in 1995, there was a formal special exception and master plan, planned industrial development, which included the site, although there's no official site plan of record. And this shows the master plan, planned industrial development approval in 1995. What you see to the south of our site is actually currently developed as the car dealership. However, our site was utilized for the acreage. As you can see, there's no site plan detail. It was included in the site plan for informational purposes only, but there was never any official site plan approved or provided for this site. As part of this application in coordination with your village staff, we've done our best to provide a site inventory and provide a regulatory site plan for the site, so now that the village has something to judge against and put guardrails against for any improvements in the future. And here we see the site plan. I can dig into the site operations later on into the presentation. But again, this site has been in operation since 1990. Later on in this presentation, I have a deck that kind of shows aerials over the years where you can kind of see that it's been a consistent use. And we're also tasked with doing a vegetation exhibit to detail the current vegetation and plantings that exist today on site, and those have been provided to your village staff. Just to go through the site data, it's just over 20 acres in size. It has an industrial limited zoning designation and industrial future land use designation. The current silos that exist today are 78 feet in height, and those are outlined in the development agreement, which was recorded in 1994. The silos that we're requesting are 3 feet less than the existing silos and are in close proximity, and we're trying to be cognizant of that in order to mitigate any impact. There's an existing 4,000 square foot quality control testing lab, as well as a 1,200 square foot accessory office, which the applicant has recently gotten COs for, as it used to be a residential structure. There's also 2 open air shipping container roofs just used for some additional material storage. And we also meet our parking requirements. The parking required based on the use of the site is 18 spaces. We're providing 31. And also as part of this application and working to provide the improvements as directed by staff, as Josu mentioned earlier, we are proposing to stripe the 31 parking spaces that exist today for ADA compliance. And this is just a typical silo detail, which shows the 75-foot height maximum to the center line of the head shaft. And now to get into the variance specifically, we're requesting 2 variances. The first variance is to allow for the 75-foot high silos, which are again just 3 feet less than the existing silos. And the variance request is for a 43-foot increase in permitted structure height, but this is consistent as an expansion of the asphalt plant use, which is outlined in the development agreement. And the second variance that we're requesting is to allow for the asphalt piles to not exceed the height of the existing silos. This variance request was directed by your staff. It's not a proposed condition. Again, these silos have been, these piles have been there since before the annexation into the village of the Royal Palm Beach, but this allows, again, staff to actually put guardrails and regulations on the silo heights because as it stands in not only the Royal Palm Beach Code, but also the unincorporated county code at the time, there's not any real clean regulations for outdoor storage or asphaltic piles, which is why in this instance we have to base it against the building height maximum, although neither the silos or the asphalt piles are buildings. So again, to reiterate, that second variance we're requesting is not a proposed condition in its existing condition that we just want to formalize as part of this application. This is just a snippet of the amendment to the development agreement. As you can see highlighted in yellow in section 5.2B, at the time of the development agreement entered with the village specifically recognized and authorized the continued operation and expansion or redevelopment of the existing asphalt plant and all accessory and incidental uses as a permitted special exception use within the planned industrial development. And we are requesting that special exception use tonight. And then as you can see in subsection C, the village acknowledges that there are silos and a transmission tower existing on the property, the silo specific to our property, which as you can see is 78 feet in height. And the village represents and acknowledges that the existing uses are fully conforming uses under its zoning code. And when you're driving on Southern Boulevard and 441 at higher speeds, I just try to pull in a snippet of what a vehicle would be seeing if looking to the right. At the higher speeds, you're not really having it immediately shown. At certain angles, you will be able to see it visible from those right-of-ways, but by and large, it's not something that is really popping out, as you can see from this angle. And even from State Road 7, it's similar. I mean, the site is considerably set back from those right-of-way frontages, where in reality, although, you know, that we're requesting that 75 or 78-foot height, in reality, from the real public traveled roads, you're not seeing it unless you're really, really stopping to look to examine it. And even more so from the immediate Coral Sky Plaza to the west and, you know, pulling up a street view here, it's still not something that's immediately visible, as well as from, you know, adjacent to the site where we have the western boundary of our site, it's pretty buffered from the Coral Sky Plaza. So as far as the immediate adjacent properties and, you know, the heavily traveled public right-of-ways, these conditions that are existing today are not items that are immediately visible. And just to go through a history, as you can see in 1999, you see that the site has been consistent in its operation. I don't know if you guys see my cursor, but here's the location of the existing silos. These are dimensioned more than 200 feet north of our south property line and more than 700 feet from our eastern property line, and similarly more than 400 feet from our western property line. So with it being this, you know, 75-foot height that we're requesting, it's designed to be centralized in the site to minimize impact. And just kind of going over through the years here, you can see the condition of the site is pretty consistent with the existing silos and the existing asphaltic piles, which we're also requesting a variance from. And I just want to kind of bring attention to the fact that these piles, they fluctuate in height. So it's not necessarily a structure that you can go out and survey and get the exact height just based on the differing levels of material per day. You don't get an exact height, which is why we requested it to not exceed the existing silo height that's built on site today. And you can see in 2016, a similar condition, 2020, a similar condition. And then today is the condition that you see. So that concludes my presentation. I have some additional information in the backup should that be needed, but I want to let Josu get to the next few items. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess before I go to the board for questions, I wanted to ask Mitty if it would be possible to separate the two variances for voting and discussion purposes.
So you certainly could do that. The application is before you with the two variances listed as one item, but if it's the pleasure of the commission to discuss them each individually and then make any motion specific to both of them, that certainly could be done tonight, yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so then that being said, are there any questions? Okay, go ahead.
I know you discussed the changes over the years from the 1990s to current code. Two of my questions is, one, as you showed, you know, the different photographs of the views going down the road, but are you anticipating increased traffic with this
No.
storage?
Yeah, no increased traffic will come as a result of the additional silo. The traffic operation is to remain the same. This is simply to provide a more efficient pickup from the trucks that are currently accessing the site, even to potentially give some of those workers a shorter workday, but there is no anticipated traffic increase that is being caused by these additional silos.
Thank you, sir. He answered two of my questions at the same time. He did a 2-for-1.
You said there's currently silos on site. How many are there?
There's 3.
There's 3 already
Yep.
there, and so
I
you're
have
adding the additional 3.
I have a picture. Yeah, here. You can kind of see it on the right here.
Okay.
And then I shaded in red where the additional silos would go. It's about, what is it, maybe a 10-foot separation between the two, because the trucks will be going in and picking up the material and leaving, but this allows, not all of them to line up in line for the single row of 3 silos. This allows them to separate with 3 additional silos, but it's really in that similar proximate location as the existing silos today.
Okay. My second question, since this was already in operation before being annexed into the village, and this was already the operations that were happening, how is this going to cause a burden to this owner for the property if these were not allowed to be built?
If the additional silo weren't allowed to be built, it would just impact just the typical efficiency provided on the site, and specifically to the asphalt piles and the fact that they have been in existence. We kind of need that height over 32 feet, specifically the recycle material pile, as in discussions with our applicant. That pile is actually 40% of the concrete mix, and this plant serves FDOT, FAA, but also local municipalities, even the village of Royal Palm. And that actual asphalt pile material that we're requesting the variance for, even though it's existing, is not material that's bought. They can buy the millings, they can buy the aggregates, but the actual recycle pile, which does increase or get that requested height, so to speak, it can't be bought, and that's 40% of the concrete mix. So that's kind of the challenge, where if we're not permitted at a height over the 32-foot maximum for the IL district, it impacts the operation, where really they can't produce the asphalt that they would like to.
For now.
Do you have any questions, sir? No.
Did I hear correctly that right now the village is not for this? They have some discussions and concerns?
That's correct. The village is recommending, staff is recommending denial of the variance. Yeah.
And the reasons are for?
And the reasons are,
The impact?
well, pretty much the criteria for when the council can grant a variance. We don't believe that the applicant is meeting those, or the property is meeting those criteria. So,
Do you want to specify, Josu, if I could ask you to specify what you read at the beginning, just remind the commission?
sure. So I'll go back to kind of go over. So in order for council to grant variances, they have to follow the following criteria. Special conditions and circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land, structure, or building involved. Second criteria, the special condition and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant. Third criteria, that granting of the variance requested will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied by the zoning ordinance to other lands, building, or structures in the same zoning district. Criteria 4, a literal interpretation of the provisions of this division will deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties. Criteria number 5, that the variance granted is the minimum variance that will make possible the reasonable use of the land, building, or structure, that the grant of the variance will be in harmony with the general intent and purpose of this division. Granting of the variance will not be injurious to the area involved or otherwise be detrimental to the public welfare. And we don't believe that the applicant meets those criteria.
you think the landscaping is appropriate? Is there enough landscaping on the site?
Part of this request or applications, staff did not evaluate the landscape. The landscape exhibit that was provided was just by reference. So the existing landscaping that's there now is not being changed, and it's not part of their request.
Did you have any more questions?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I just have a question for you, for the piles. So exactly how are they accessed, and how are the recycled materials put in these 78-foot tall, it's a 6-story building, tall piles?
So let me go to,
Like the trucks, do they dump them there? Are they?
yeah, my understanding is that the trucks are dumping them there, and particularly on this eastern side here where you see the larger mass. And I can get more details on the how the materials picked up. But my understanding is, at least as far as the dumping, that they follow this circulation path that I'm drawing here with my cursor to dump that material.
So then I guess my question is how are the piles getting to be that tall if they're just dumping them out of a pickup truck or like a dump truck?
They're driving on top of them.
Are they driving on top of them? They're driving on top of them. Okay.
If you
Mr. Tuma, if you could come to just get on the record, and then I know you're going to try to point, and Josu can try to help you.
Good afternoon. Yes, so they use loaders to make the piles.
Okay. Okay, thanks. I have no other questions. Is that it? Any other questions came up? No? Good, okay. So is there a motion?
Can we take public?
Public comment.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Do we have any public?
hi, sir.
Come on up. Right here, please. I'm scooch you out of the way.
And if you could give your name and address, sir.
Hello, my name is Juan Munoz, and I'm a representative of Southern 441 Toyota, the dealership. And so our concern right now is that we don't want it to increase because we're already feeling impact from it currently, so we don't want it to increase.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mehdi, it sounds like Commissioner has a question. Can he?
You can ask a question if you have a question of what he said, yes.
You mean, can you just elaborate a little bit more when you said that the dealership is receiving an impact?
Yes, so our cars get dirty, and the dealership also gets dirty. We're feeling, I guess, from the piles and things like that, we're seeing, I guess, debris from that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So basically, it's impacting your business.
Correct.
Staff has to clean the cars every day before operations.
Correct. So what we don't want to have happen is more impact.
Right.
Correct.
So then I have another question.
Good.
That type of impact on your business, is it impacting you financially? Like, do you have to have staff continuously do anything as far as to keep the dealership where you can attract your customers?
Yes, so we try to maintain the vehicles as clean as possible to present them to sell. And if we have an increase of debris, if we have more impact on the area, then it will just increase cleaning, more cleaning. So we already have it set up to clean. I think it's twice a week. Now we're going to have to do it more.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And just to clarify, because you said they are currently 78 feet, the piles, but you're just asking that they're not increased more than that?
Yes, from our understanding that the piles can grow, or that's what the request is, to grow the piles. We don't want that.
Yep.
Nope, that's it.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Madam Chair, I know the applicant is wanting to respond to that, but if we could conclude the public comment, let's just get all the public comment on there, and then the applicant can go back to the podium. I don't see anyone else in the room, but I just want to make sure there's nobody online.
Do we have any other public comment? No, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
Chair. So, Madam Chair, if you want to close public comment?
Okay, I'll close public comments. Yes.
Good evening again, Ken Tuma, and Lency will respond to one of the questions, but I do want to respond to the car dealership. This has been here since 1989. Those piles have been there since 1995. While I understand the concern, and it's a fair concern, we've been here for a long time. Rangers had this plant in operation. In fact, when you look at it, the piles have actually gotten a little narrower from where they were before. So I'm going to let Lency respond to the other one, but this has been here first, and it's an important need for the county. Thank you.
Yes, sir? Is there possible, any sort of screening you can put up to keep that dust and dirt from moving in that direction towards the dealership?
Well, there'll be a condition as part of this in regards on how to
Can you
manage those
suggest that?
piles.
I'm not saying screening material, but something, maybe a wall or something, a structure that would keep anything from moving towards them.
No, sir. I think what will happen is there'll be a condition on how to manage those or how to maintain those with water and other items. That's what they currently do.
And then, just to clarify, we won't be proposing an increase in the pile height. This is just more so to formalize it from a zoning standpoint to, again, have staff be able to regulate against. But as far as pile heights and operations, we're not proposing an increase or more material storage. It's kind of going to be as day-to-day usage. Again, with now the consideration of the condition, and then hopefully we get to coordinate with the property owner to the south to be able to mitigate those concerns. Because I think currently there is a lake that supports, that buffers our site and the car dealership, but we certainly will get in contact to try to mitigate that.
Thank you.
Want a motion?
Is there a motion?
I make a motion, application 24-089 be denied.
Is there a second? Motion made by Commissioner Alba. Is there a second?
I second that motion.
Seconded by Commissioner Butler. All those in favor of a motion to deny the variances, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Nay. See that the motion passes 4-1. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is application number 24-125, special exception, Ranger Asphalt Silos. The applicant, Urban Design Studio, on behalf of WPB Ops Land LLC, is requesting special exception use approval to allow for expansion of the existing asphalt or concrete plant use in order to permit the addition of 3 75-foot silos on the existing foundation for a property located at 606 95th Avenue North. Mitty.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The applicants remain sworn from the prior item. I will just ask the commission for any ex parte disclosures on this item.
Yes, it would be the same?
As before, that's fine for the record. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Now it's your turn.
Madam Chair, application 24-125 SE, the applicant is requesting special exception use approval to allow for an expansion of the existing asphalt or concrete plant use in order to permit the addition of 3 75-foot silos on the existing foundation within the industrial limited IL zoning district. The property is located at 606 95th Avenue North, as mentioned earlier. Pursuant to the applicant's justification statement, the site layout remains unchanged from the initial 1990 approvals, and these elements exist as legal nonconforming today, as Lency mentioned earlier in his presentation. Just a brief history to reiterate, the property was annexed into the village in 1989 as part of the annexation approval. An annexation and development agreement between the development and village was recorded in 1990 and was later amended in 1994. I think Lindsay went over that earlier as well. In reviewing the proposed special exception, village staff considered compatibility with adjacent land uses, consistency with the village comp plan, and conformance with the village development standards for the IL zoning district, specifically whether the special exception is consistent with the standards of the village, whether it complies with all development regulations of the village, whether the special exception does not have adverse environmental impacts, whether the proposed special exception does not have adverse vehicular or pedestrian traffic impacts, whether the proposed special exception does not have an adverse impact upon public facilities, or the design of the proposed special exception does not have adverse impacts on adjacent properties, or is compatible with the character and living conditions of the existing neighborhood. That the special exception does not have an adverse impact on property values in adjacent areas. That the special exception is not a deterrent to the improvement or development of adjacent properties. That the proposed special exception will not seriously reduce the quality or quantity of light and air available to adjacent properties, which cannot be prevented by the imposition of conditions. I do want to read a few conditions of approval, specifically the site-specific conditions, into the record. First condition, applicant contends and agrees that this expansion of use will not increase the intensity of the current operations on site and will not result in increased vehicular traffic to or from the site. The applicant shall add dust dampening equipment, sprinklers to ensure compliance at all times with section 26-101 of the Village Code. The applicant shall ensure that during high wind events, the asphaltic piles are sufficiently shielded and covered on all sides and reduce an overall vertical height sufficient to eliminate particulate matter, air, and water pollutions from the piles. The special exception approval shall expire 1 year from the date of council approval unless development is commenced within that time frame or appropriate applications for extensions are submitted pursuant to section 26-66 of the Village Code of Ordinances. In no case shall the approval be extended beyond code established timeframes. Condition E, failure of the developer to comply with any of the conditions of approval at any time may result in the denial or revocation of building permits, issuance of a stop work order, denial of certificate of occupancy, or the denial or revocation of other village-issued permit or approvals. Failure to commence development in a timely manner may also result in the revocation of development approvals. The developer shall submit copies of permits from all agencies with regulatory jurisdiction prior to the issuance of a building permit. All advertising, legal documents, and correspondence shall refer to this location as being located within the village of Royal Palm Beach. These are site-specific conditions. In reviewing the proposed special exception use, village staff considered compatibility with adjacent land uses, consistency with the village comp plan, and conformance with development standards, specifically for the IL zoning district. With that said, staff requests a recommendation of approval be submitted to village council regarding application number 24-125 SE, as well as resolution number 24-42. And this concludes my presentation. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Joseph. Ken, Lindsay? Lindsay.
No additional applicant presentation at this time. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any questions from the board? No down there? No? No? Okay. Is there any public comment? No.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Hold on, I do have a question, actually.
Go ahead.
Wasn't this contingent on the variance?
So they are, that's a very good question, and I was just about to jump in with that. Given your action on the prior item, so there is a use expansion that's requested. This particular application, number 4, is relative only to the use. So a motion to approve the expanded use does not allow for the 75-foot silos, right? It would allow silos that meet code. So I would ask that we add one condition to Josue's list. How many were on your list?
There are a few more site specific. Yeah, we'll add it to that.
Yeah, so we'll add one additional condition. Should there be a motion to approve the expansion of the use, it would require the applicant to revise all their documents to reflect code compliant expansion. So if there's a motion to approve the use under this application, that doesn't allow them to put the 78-foot piles or the 75-foot silos. It would just be a use to allow additional silos and expansion of the use at a code-allowed height. Does that make sense?
Yes, but this is going to the board after us, correct?
These move on to village
So
council.
we wouldn't need to make any type of amendment because it would be also based on what their decision was. We could just approve as is.
It would be more appropriate to add that condition that the documents be revised to reflect code compliance, depending on, or you could phrase it in a way that is contingent upon council approval of the variance. That would be appropriate as well.
Then I will make a motion to approve application number 24-125 with the condition that the council approves the variance.
Contingent on approval of the variance application.
Thank you. So motion made by Commissioner Derry, seconded by Commissioner Patterson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes unanimous. Okay, last item on the agenda is application number 24-088, SPM AAR Ranger Asphalt Silos. The applicant, Urban Design Studio, on behalf of WPB Opsland LLC, is requesting a major site plan modification and architectural approval to construct 3 75-foot tall silos to be used in the existing asphalt production facility, stripe and pave an existing employee space to be ADA accessible, and update the site plan to reflect existing conditions for a property located at 606 95th Avenue North. Mitty.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sorry, that one got a little unwieldy in the description. As I said before, the applicants remain sworn, so I'll ask the commission for any ex parte disclosures.
Same.
Thank you.
Thank you. Josu.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Application 24-088 SPM AAR, site plan modification and architectural approval to construct 3 75-foot tall silos to be used in the existing asphalt production facility, striped and pave existing employee parking spaces to be ADA accessible, and update the site plan to reflect existing conditions for the property located at 606 95th Avenue North. As mentioned earlier, this site was annexed into the village back in 1989. This slide illustrates the proposed site plan with the affected area highlighted where the improvements to the parking space will be done. The applicant is also requesting AAR approval for the silo color and materials. This slide illustrates the proposed silos elevations, color and materials highlighted with the red. Overall, the proposed site plan is in conformance with the village requirement for the industrial limited zoning district, with the exception of the requested special variance earlier. So staff is recommending approval of application number 24-088 SPM AAR and resolution number 24-41, subject to the approval of special exception application number 25-125 and resolution number 24-42, and approval of the variance application number 24-089 VAR and variance order VC 24-08 with the following conditions of approval. These are, there are more conditions of approval, but these are the site specific. I want to read into the record. The project is subject to and shall remain consistent with the provisions of the Palm Beach County Traffic Concurrency Standards. The site shall be maintained free of all trash at all times. The applicant contends and agrees that this expansion of use will not increase the intensity of the current operations on site and will not result in the increased vehicular traffic to or from the site. The applicant shall add dust dampening equipment, e.g. sprinklers, to ensure compliance at all times with Section 26-101 of the Village Code. The applicant shall ensure that during high wind events, the asphaltic piles are sufficiently shielded and covered on all sides and reduced in overall vertical height sufficient to eliminate particulate matter, air, and water pollutions from the piles. Staff is recommending approval of application number 24-088 SPMAR and resolution 24-41, subject to the approval, again, of the special exception application number 25-125 and resolution number 24-42, as well as the variance application 24-089 VAR and variance order VC 24-08. This concludes my presentation. I'll be glad to answer any questions. Thank you.
No applicant presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Is there any public comment?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Is there any board discussion, questions? None for me. Is there a motion?
If I could just reiterate, I'm sorry to interrupt you, the same thing would apply here. So any motion to approve would be contingent on approval of the prior two items, the special exception and the variance.
Okay. Okay, hearing Mitty, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve application number 24-088, contingent upon council approval of the variance and the special exception.
Thank you, Commissioner Derry. Is there a second? Who wants it? Commissioner Alba seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? See that it passes unanimous. Have a good night, gentlemen. So the next item on the agenda is...
Could I make one request? Since Commissioner Leland has been recused for this item, we need to bring him back and ask Mr. Patterson to step off the dais.
Sorry, sir.
How you doing, Webs?
You were dismissed. I'm so sorry, sir.
And just for the record, it's 7:56, so Commissioner Patterson is leaving the dais and Commissioner Leland is returning to the dais. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You want to be reelected, right? That's what you're so excited for?
Can I make motions?
So as soon as Mr. Leland gets up here, I'll remind you how this goes. So you have on your agenda, if I may just explain, like I typically do at your meetings, you have elections, you have 2 seats that need to be filled tonight. You have your chair position and your vice chair position. The only thing you need to know is that the chair cannot be the acting chair, so she cannot serve 2 consecutive terms under the village code. So you can do this 2 ways. Last year, I think only 1 year you've made me nervous with nominations, but you can do it either way. You can do it by motion, which is the way you just approved or denied your agenda items. So that would be somebody makes a motion. If there's a second, you call the vote and act on that motion right then. You can also do it by nomination. If you choose to do it that way, the chair needs to take all nominations at the beginning and then vote them in order that they are received. So if one person nominates one person, we need to know whether there's another nomination from anybody else on the commission. But you can do it either way. I think that the motion is a little bit easier, but I'll leave that to you all. But if you could take them in order and do the chair first, that would be appropriate.
Can I make a motion?
No, but you could suggest to your fellow commissioners.
Okay. Okay, so we will do the order of the business of the chair first. Is there a motion or a nomination?
I'd like to move the Vice Chair Kamala Williams up to Chair and Vice Chair.
Sounds fantastic. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Great, thank you. All those in favor of moving Kamar Williams to chair, say aye. Aye.
Again.
Shouldn't go to Thailand every April.
So then moving on to vice chair. Is there a motion?
Why are you looking at me?
Is Is there a chair of?
Okay, I will make a recommendation to move Commissioner Darren
Dairy.
to vice chair.
Motion?
second it.
Motion made and seconded for Commissioner Derry to be vice chair. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimous. Congratulations. So the next meeting is on Tuesday, May 27th, 2025. I need a motion to adjourn the meeting and a second, please.
I say, so move.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.